A cassette tape dictation transcriber may just seem to be an obsolete and boringly utilitarian piece of office equipment, but you can actually have a lot of fun with one.
Digital Mix sounds great on Mix 107.3 in Washington, and that's why Jam continues to be our number one choice for jingles.
For all the details on how to customize the Digital Mix package
for your station, call Jam Creative Productions
in Dallas at area code
388-5454.
This is the Panasonic RR830 standard cassette transcriber. They point out standard cassette because they also had a microcassette version of it. It features VSC, variable speech control, and has a few other tricks up its sleeve, including a quick erase feature which allows you to rapidly erase what's on a tape by pressing record and either fast forward or rewind. But it can also be used to make recordings using either the built-in microphone or an external microphone plugged into the input.
Okay, testing. It's working. So I should put it right there. Okay. All right. Well, here's Jim. Now we can start. Waiting for Jim.
Its main purpose was for a secretary to transcribe dictation
concerning station WXRC. Many thanks for your call. Sincerely yours, Chester Gaylord, Program Director.
Tulsa, March 10th, Unity Institute, 359 West Oklahoma Avenue, Boston, Massachusetts. Gentlemen, the attached outline of the National Travel Club is a basis for the enthusiastic reception from people in every phase of travel business.
It has a small built-in speaker, but it also has an audio output, which more than likely would have been connected to one of these awful things, a transcription headset, which actually only has one earphone, and then the sound is carried acoustically through this pipe to the other ear, similar to the headsets that they used to give out on airplanes. Also on the side is a mini DIN jack labeled Remote Review. That's used for connecting a foot pedal, not the kind that Frantone makes, but this kind, which allows the secretary to control the tape while having both hands free for typing. It has two buttons, Start and Backspace, and a footrest in the middle. If you press play with the foot pedal attached, nothing happens. That's because it's waiting for you to press Start on the pedal, which you have to hold down for as long as you want it to play.
It's totally new for 1990.
And when you let go, it stops.
It's easier to read with...
And then you can rewind with the backspace button.
Information booklet, maintenance schedule booklet, and the tire warranty booklet.
But since you might miss a word or two if you stop the tape in the middle of a sentence and then start it again...
Free performance, and actually monitors temperature, altitude.
It has this control labeled Backspace Control, which automatically rewinds the tape whenever you let go of the Start button, and you can control how much it rewinds from a little bit to quite a lot. So here's how it operates with a little bit of auto backspace.
Fuel injected for confident. Connected for confident starting. Confident starting.
It's about a word or two worth of automatic rewind, then halfway on the control.
Confident starting and smooth acceleration in all types of weather. Is fuel injected for confident starting and smooth acceleration in all types of weather.
It's about one sentence, and then all the way up would be even more than that. So if you are a DJ or a musician who has their hands occupied operating various pieces of equipment, I'm sure you can imagine the possibilities that are opened up by having a foot-operated cassette player.
So you'll get a sound much closer to live. You'll get a sound much closer to live than you. You'll get a sound much closer to live than. You'll get a sound much closer to live than. You'll get a sound much closer to live than you. You'll get a sound much closer to live. So you'll get a sound much closer to live than you.
And at first it might seem like it doesn't have auto stop because when it reaches the end of the tape it stays running, But if you give it a couple seconds, it'll detect that the tape is no longer moving, and it will cut power to the motor, like it just did, although you still have to press the stop button. It has a pause button which also simply cuts power to the motor and can be used to create some interesting effects if you press it while recording. The manual for it also points out that you can instantly review what you just recorded by holding down the review button. The manual for it also points out that you can instantly review what you just recorded by holding down the review button.
Work with your mind to think deeply.
The real fun begins when you experiment with the VSC, which stands for Variable Speech Control. When you turn that on, you get two controls here. The first one on the left adjusts the tape speed, just like the pitch control on many tape decks and turntables.
When you teach.
All of us have had that experience. Because your whole
So when you turn it up, it starts sounding like chipmunks.
someone else or another group.
The same material that you're learning.
And you can also turn it down a little bit.
Of commitment to the material.
But then the control on the right, the VSC level, allows you to run the tape at different speeds without affecting the pitch.
Improve people's behavior
Change people's pictures.
of their roles. I'd like to use a scientific term for a moment to describe what I'm presenting. It's called paradigm.
So it makes it sound like the guy's just talking a lot faster in his normal voice.
The way you see your role is a paradigm.
Now here's a chance for you to share a paradigm-shifting experience that Dr. Covey had.
They claim that you can run the tape at up to double speed using this system and still be able to understand what is being said. I'm not so sure about that.
All of a sudden, a man and his children, a large group of children, got onto the subway. And they were so loud and so noisy, so raucous, that instantly the whole climate had changed. The man sat right next to me and did nothing about this whole
It
situation.
depends on how fast the person is talking. If they're a slow talker, you can understand it at double speed using the VSC, but if they're a fast talker, it's just going to be a jumble.
How upsetting.
But you don't need to keep these two controls perfectly aligned. You can use them independently to create some interesting effects.
Mentioned the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Are based on principles, ideas that seem to make sense to most human beings, regardless of social conditioning.
And to adapt your
Whole approach.
in business to the customer. That's a principle.
If I've internalized that principle,
Knowledge,
Skill and attitude. Knowledge is
what to do.
skill is how to do. Attitude is why.
But although you don't really notice it through the built-in speaker or those awful transcription headphones I showed earlier, enabling the VSC causes a pretty drastic loss of frequency response. Even if you don't use it to adjust the playback speed, it cuts out pretty much all the low bass and high treble. And even though the S in VSC stands for speech, there is no rule against using it with music to create some interesting and unique effects.
1, 2.
Freak out! Let's freak, let's shake, freak out!
Now you can tell him exactly what he's finding. If you want my body, baby, take him sex. Come on, sugar, let me know.
I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave me be. If I'd have known for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me. Reunited and it feels so good. What a fine squeezing and I'm feeling fine.
By listening to those samples, you can probably get an idea of how the variable speech control works by chopping up the sound into short segments and then either squeezing them together or stretching them out. But that doesn't mean it's using digital sampling, because it's not. Instead, it uses an analog type of variable delay line called a bucket brigade delay, similar to the kind used in many reverb units. You can hear as I adjust the amount of delay that it alters the pitch of the audio that's stored in that delay line. Here it is with the cover removed. The cassette mechanism uses AC bias recording, but it does have a permanent magnet erase head. Probably the mechanism and motor were both made by Panasonic themselves. And here's the large solenoid, which controls the operation when you're using the foot pedal. And right there in the middle is the VSC processor, which uses the bucket brigade delay. It's made by Rohm, and it's a BA1701 chip. And another unique thing is that you can engage the recording button at any time, even during playback, which will partially erase the recording you just made. Engage the recording button at any time, even playback, which will partially erase the recording you just made. At any time, even during playback, which will partially erase the recording you just made. Or you can use it to intersperse new sounds into your existing recording by talking or making noises while you're pushing the recording button. Or you can use it to intersperse new sounds into your existing ba-ba-ba by ba-ba-ba noises while you're ba-ba-ba.
If you want a Panasonic RR830 cassette transcriber for yourself, you can get them brand new on Amazon for around $400 with free next day prime shipping. Of course, I doubt those are still being manufactured. They're just new old stock from whenever Panasonic stopped making these, and there are various companies selling refurbished ones for about half that price, but more sensibly you can find used ones on eBay for around $30 to $40, including the foot pedal.